Welcome to this month's episode of the Drunken Boxing Podcast. This is episode 26, coming to you from a still humid and sticky Beijing. This month's guest is Thomas Holtman, who hails from Germany. Thomas is a formal disciple of Zhong Lian Bao, who is a fifth-generation master of the Seven Star Mantis system, who resides in Yantai, Shandong Province. Thomas has trained for many years under Master Zhong in China. On top of this, Thomas is also a dog brother and regularly participates in their events. If you don't know what the Dog Brothers are all about, they are a diverse group of people from various martial arts backgrounds who get together and have hardcore full-contact matches with various weaponry. On top of this, Thomas is also a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt, a judo black belt, and a blade master who teaches his bladecraft method in Germany. He holds a master's degree in Sinology, which includes Chinese literature, language, and history. This discussion was very interesting, as Thomas has a depth of knowledge in Chinese martial arts and also a wealth of combat experience in both armed and unarmed modalities, and has successfully utilized his skills developed through his Seven Star Mantis training to great effect in various avenues. We talked about his path and his experiences. Currently, Thomas teaches Mantis, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and blade methods in Germany. Links to his various websites and contact details are listed in the show notes. But as usual, before we get into the podcast episode, let's go over some general news. Over on the Mushin Martial Culture YouTube channel, I have released further episodes of the lecture my Shifu Guoyong gave at the Peking University years ago. As usual, they include English subtitles and various other relevant information. Keep an eye out, as there will be some interesting video releases on the channel in the coming weeks as well. As always, you can find all our merchandise on our Teespring store, which includes various t-shirts and other items. I regularly release new designs as they are completed, so check it out. You can view the merchandise at the Mushin Martial Culture Teespring store. The link is in the show notes, or you may simply search for Mushin Martial Culture within the Teespring site itself, which is teespring.com. As always, I'm extremely grateful to all of you that support the Drunken Boxing Podcast and all the Mushin martial culture endeavors through my Patreon site. Your support through Patreon helps me to continue doing this. If any others of you enjoy my endeavors and would like to pledge some support for the podcast or the channel, you may do so through the Patreon site. The Patreon site may be found at patreon.com/Mushin Martial Culture. That's Mushin Martial Culture, all one word. Apart from the general support tiers, there is a third tier, the Huajin tier, which is the online learning tier. Here you have the ability to study the arts of Xing Yi Quan and Ba Gua Zhang from me. So if you found my released primer videos on Xing Yi Quan and Ba Gua Zhang useful and beneficial, and you want to go deeper into the arts, check out this third tier, the Huajin tier, on the Patreon site. Okay, let's get into this episode. Here is Thomas Holtman. Okay, welcome to the Drunken Boxing Podcast. I'm very happy to be with Thomas Holtman today on a call all the way from Germany. You're in Germany currently, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for joining me today. I'm very happy to be able to sit down with you, and virtually at least, and have this conversation. We know each other online for a while. We've never met in person, but I know of your endeavors. So, you're a Chinese martial arts. You have a Chinese martial arts background. You also were involved with the Dog Brothers, and you're also involved in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So you're a bit of a renaissance man with regards to combat and martial arts in general. So welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. For the listeners out there, I mean, we usually, these podcasts are usually about the person's journey and whatever. So, maybe you can start from giving us a bit of your background, how you got into martial arts, etc., and we'll go from
Yes. Yeah, sure. So, basically, I'm training martial arts for 43 years. I started, I think, like most of us, I started with judo back then. I still remember, sitting in the living room and telling my mom, I want to do karate.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, I enrolled, in judo class. And I was like, awesome, it's karate, So it all started with judo. Then, I trained a little bit Aikido. I also trained a little bit Japanese Jiu-Jitsu and German form of Jiu-Jitsu, which is called Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, really? There's a German form of Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah, it's used back in the days by the police people. So it's basically Japanese jiu-jitsu, a little bit, like alternated. It's basically the same, but different name. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
okay.
You know.
Yeah.
So I also did that. And then back in 1989, I started with Chinese martial arts with praying Mantis Kungfu.
Mm.
Um, I mean, I always wanted to train Kung Fu,
Mm.
but, I was not aware that we have a school in my hometown.
Which is your
So,
hometown, by the way, because we haven't mentioned?
okay, my hometown is Hagen, which is close to Dortmund or Cologne,
Ah,
you
okay.
know. So it's not a big city, so I wasn't aware, that we have, Chinese martial arts in my city, So a
Yeah.
friend of mine, he was training there, and he took me with him, and it all started there.
Right.
So um, that also led to my studies. I got a master's degree in Chinese literature,
Wow.
Chinese history, and Chinese philosophy. Um, Basically, I wrote my master thesis in regards of the Champu, like how it's changed over the years. Like nowadays, we use the DVD. Back in the days, we had these manuscripts, like
Yeah.
So when I was studying in Shanghai at Fudan Daxue,
Yep.
um, I also trained in Xingyiquan and Baguazhang, but not on a deep level, if you know what I'm trying to say, because I
Yeah.
was just there for 1 year. You know what I'm trying to say.
No, no, I get
Just
it.
like
Yeah.
I got an understanding of the art. Let's put it like that.
Were you studying that at the university or outside of the university?
No, basically, waking up in the morning at 5 o'clock, then from 5:30 till 8 o'clock, training martial arts.
Hmm.
Then it was right at the campus, but it wasn't from the university. It was an
Okay.
old man who was teaching, literally like in the movies. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
you know. So and then studying at the university, and then in the evening it was also again back to training with
Very
him.
nice. Were you
Yeah.
alone training with him, or did he have other students there? Or
He had other students,
right?
also some foreigners, so it was quite cool. I mean, like how it is. If you study Chinese martial arts and you're in the homeland, you want to train, right?
Of course.
This is all what you do, and I couldn't care less what style it is. I just
Right,
wanted
right.
to learn.
And it
you
was
know?
close by. It was at the university, so it's very
Yes,
convenient. So why not?
yes,
Right,
yes,
right.
absolutely. So basically, I was training, this style of Mantis Kungfu, which is the Hong Kong branch. I was training that for about 10 years.
Was that in
And then
China or back in Germany?
no, back in Germany,
Ah,
it's
so
actually quite big here,
right.
that style. A lot of people are training it,
Okay, so it's
and
Seven Star, right? I mean, that's the
it's Seven Star, right?
right, Seven
Right.
Star. That's the most popular out of Hong Kong. But
Yeah.
you went further than that, of course, with your Mantis.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Because I got lucky and I met my shifu. That was in 2000. I think in the year 2000 I met
Mm,
my shifu, and it's Zhong Lian Bao from Yantai.
okay,
So it all changed.
of course.
It literally all changed. I was starting again as beginner. But like he was like, okay, you trained 10 years before, you have a basic understanding, okay,
Mm,
so now let's start with the training. So later on I became a Baishu 2D also, and he was always very supportive when it came that I'm training also Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, or that I'm also, fighting at the Dog Brothers gatherings.
right, right.
Yeah, and then, like 10, 11, don't let me lie. No, in 2010, it was the first time I was, fighting at the Dog Brothers gatherings.
Okay.
And before that, because of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, we all know that grappling is the thing you need to know.
Mm,
Definitely, you have to.
mm.
So, I also started with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu before that.
Wow.
So today I'm a second degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a second degree black belt in Tokyo Hirano Judo, which is completely different from the sports judo branch.
Okay.
And basically I'm also teaching Seven Star Mantis, obviously, and I also got my own approach if it comes to the usage of the knife.
Okay, very interesting. Well, of course, with that extensive background, that's the point, isn't it? To develop skills and then to develop your own skills. So
Yes,
that's exactly what you're doing. Well, I'm gonna pick apart some things so we can go into some details if you don't mind,
please,
because it's very interesting.
please.
I want to ask you first of all, when you said your mom signed you up for judo as a kid,
Yeah,
was judo available at your school or was it some outside of your school? Because I'll tell you why I'm asking. I started with judo as a kid too, and like
yeah.
you, I wanted to do karate. But there was judo. Judo was at my school, so we it was very easy. And my mom was like, "Judo, karate must be the same thing. They wear these white
Yeah.
clothes, so off you go."
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, but it was not at my school. In Germany, you don't teach any kind of martial arts at the schools.
Oh, really? Not allowed.
No. No,
Okay.
no, it's just maybe you have some, for example, Aikido, I was privileged to do at the school because, I think it was the Latin teacher. He was also the Aikido guy, so he was offering for some guys, if you want to train Aikido, I can show you guys. But in Germany, it's no, you don't do that. You maybe have soccer, basketball, and that's about it.
Normal sports.
Yeah, normal sports. Yeah, let's call it like that. Yeah.
And so, I mean, judo as a basis, I personally think even though I wanted to do karate, but I managed to find myself in judo, I think it's a really good base, and I think it's a really good base for young kids. I mean,
Yes.
even better than, I'm a Chinese martial artist as well. I love Chinese martial arts, but honestly speaking, I think for the ages of 6, 7, 8, I would say that it's really beneficial to do some judo, especially at that age. So that's just...
Yes.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. Yes.
And you went into Aikido from there, and you said was with your school teacher. And,
Yes.
Okay.
In a school teacher.
How did you find that, and how did you find the overlapping? I mean, this is obviously going through your time as your road progresses in martial arts. You went into
I was still too young. I'm trying to say it's like when we start, we have a different perspective, a different view on this thing. Let's call it martial arts in general. Okay, so like you said, you want to do karate, you want to throw punches, you want to throw kicks, right?
Yeah.
Later on, you realize that what you really need if somebody punches you on the street is grappling. You know what I'm trying to say? It makes things easier because if you hit somebody on the concrete, the fight is over, right?
Yeah.
So, I would say, like for me in the beginning, I was this little kid because I started with 7 years. You know what I'm trying to say? I was a kid. I saw these movies and I wanted to do these kicks and this fancy stuff, and I loved it. And later on, when I continued my journey, I would say basically in martial arts you have two kind of people. You have the fighters and the scholars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some people are both. I'm definitely not. You know, I prefer to fight, to spar, and to see how things work in general. But that's a growing process, right? So as a kid, I was more like fascinated by the movement, and I loved Aikido. Because it's so beautiful, but I didn't realize how much it changed over the years and how real Aikido was, which was created by the founder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like it got watered down a lot, like Chinese martial arts. A lot of things got lost. A lot of things got lost in translation. So it's more like a bad copy. I mean, there are exceptions out there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But basically, it's a little bit like Tai Chi Chuan. Like you can go in any park and ask the guy what he's doing. He got no idea. He's performing these beautiful things, and maybe he talks about chi, and he wants to push hands with you. But once you punch him in the face, it's over.
Okay.
I mean, we have to talk real about that. You know what I mean? I mean, but by the end of the day, Chinese martial arts are the arts where most people are laughing about.
Yeah. Well, today, especially in the last few years, that's become more of a public thing that it's been in the eyes of people that Chinese martial arts has. Okay, look, we do have to give a little bit of credence to the idea that a lot of the people that are in the public eye that got punched in the face were idiots in the first place. But we have to be honest
Yes,
that
sir.
there is a problem. There is a problem with a lot of
Yes.
the practitioners. So that is
Yes.
true.
Yes.
So
Yes. And I can just say how it is here in Europe, how it is here in Germany, and what I experience in China. So I mean, let's face it, a lot of people are like, if you want to fight, you have to train Sanda. You have to do whatever mixed martial arts training whatsoever. So, and till some point I agree, but on the other hand, I mean, it's a martial art. It was used for fighting,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean, we both agree that they were not running around on the battlefield back in the days wearing silky uniforms and do these beautiful moves,
no,
right? It makes no sense. I mean, you're a Xinyi Chan guy. I mean, come on, you know.
yeah,
If you don't have your spear, it's all about getting your spear back, right?
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So I think it's one of the biggest misconceptions is that people think that martial arts, and I'm talking about traditional martial arts, not modern martial arts, not like Wing Chun, for example. Wing Chun, it's too young. You know what I'm trying to say?
yeah.
It's no. I mean, traditional martial arts are, in my eyes, as far as I see it, always weapon-based, always connected with weapons.
Yeah, for
You know?
a big part. I mean, even the
Yeah, for sure.
the
Yeah.
energetic principles of the movements are derived
Yes.
from weapon techniques. Yeah.
Yes. So if you see people trying to use the techniques against a boxer, and it was never meant to be used against a punch in the first place,
Right.
will it work? No. Is Chinese martial arts bad? No. The guy who's trying to do it, he maybe got taught wrong, or he doesn't know better. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah.
So we have this big gap between it was used hundreds of years ago and it was pretty good, and nowadays it's just a shallow thing where people make fun about it. And I see how people can say that because, like you said, I mean, it's not about just the people who are in the public eye. It's about if you go into most Kung Fu schools and you will, challenge the guy and want to fight with him. Let's be honest, there are exceptions, but most people got no clue. They all do these beautiful movements. At least what I saw. I mean, you live in China, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe it's completely different and I have this wrong perspective. Please, I would be happy.
No, I mean,
You know?
the vast majority, I mean, if you go to the parks today, a lot of the people, look, you'll still find some people that are really good, but they're the minority.
Yeah.
They're the
Yes.
minority. And even in the
Yes.
parks, they're usually the less public people. They're
Yes.
But the if you go and see a lot of the big groups in the parks, I mean, they have no idea. That's just
Yeah.
how it is
Yeah.
for the majority. So yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of that is the case. So
So I just think it's sad, It's really sad.
yeah.
It's like we have to fight for the right of our existence. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to get back a little bit so we can get to that point that
Please.
you started to do Mantis in Germany. I mean, that's was
Yes,
your
sir.
and it was 7 star as you mentioned,
Yes, sir.
and then you decided to. Is that what made you want to go into your degree of what you did? The interest in Chinese culture, Chinese martial arts.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
very
But that
interesting.
was it was always driven. I wanted to know why things are like that. Why is it called like that? Because I'm a strong believer that once you understand the cultural background, once you understand the fairy tales, once you understand what the character really means,
Yeah,
you gain a deeper understanding of the art,
completely.
which is essential if you want to understand it. I'm not saying for fighting in general you need it, but I'm saying that I wasn't pleased by just scratching the surface. I wanted to go deeper, and for that you have to understand the language.
I agree
You have.
completely. Agree completely. I mean, it's a fighting art, but it's also a cultural art. So,
Yes, sir.
and that's
It is.
connected to the language. So when you were learning in Germany, when you were doing Seven Star Mantis in Germany, were they teaching with the Chinese terms? Was
Keep in mind, keep in mind that it's Guanhua,
Cantonese.
it comes
Yeah.
from, yeah, so you have this German who maybe was 3 times in Hong Kong trying to speak Cantonese word, it was just a mixed thingy.
Mm.
Yeah, they were trying to do it as authentic as they can, by
Right.
their capabilities, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but you obviously enjoyed what you were learning there, that it got you
Yeah,
hooked, right? So,
yeah, for sure, sir. Please, by all means. Yes.
okay,
Yes.
well, that's very interesting, and that led you on your path. So then, when you got to China, I mean, were you trying to go to Hong Kong initially? Did you want to go somewhere closer to your lineage's root? To
No.
no, you
No,
hadn't.
no, 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 no. No, no, not at all. Not at
Okay.
all. Not at all. No, 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 no. I wasn't interested to go to Hong Kong at all, you know.
Mm.
No. I just wanted to first of all, because like I don't know how it is, no, in other countries, but in Germany, when you learn Chinese, you obviously learn Mandarin, Putonghua,
Yeah.
So I did one or two, I think 2 semesters. Yeah, I did 2 semesters of Cantonese,
Mm.
uh, which is really difficult.
Yeah, it is. It's not easy. It's not an easy language.
No, not at all. No, but no, I never had the intention to go to Hong Kong or to study Tanglang there. No, no, never,
Okay.
ever. I just wanted to go basically to for me back in the days, it was Beijing. I'm trying to say
Yeah.
China. Yeah, because I was as a on vacation. Like normal tourist. I was 2 times in Beijing before that. And I
Oh.
love the city. It's so beautiful back in the days. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still beautiful, but you know what I mean. It changed a lot.
Right.
So I wanted to go to Beijing, so I could, like once you start to study Chinese and then you have to go abroad, you can decide, like which cities you would like to go to, and I
Right.
was like, man, Beijing or Shanghai. Yeah, well, I had to go to Shanghai.
Okay.
So
Okay. Well, that's good. It got you close enough to where you wanted to be. So, and
yes,
Shanghai is an
definitely. I
interesting
can
place as
travel.
well.
It is.
Yeah.
Definitely it is. But to be honest, you know, when like when you come from Europe and you walk through Shanghai, it looks like Frankfurt.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You know
mean,
what I'm trying to say?
yeah. Yeah.
It's more westernized. It's not.
Totally.
If I would, if I want to show somebody China, I would never bring him to Shanghai. Let's put it like that.
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, Shanghai was also one of the first hubs in China where foreigners set up and established
Yeah.
themselves. So they
Yes.
even had the foreign concessions there. So these, and you
Yes.
can see it in the architecture. And they were living their very European lives in
Yes.
Shanghai. Secluded from
Yes.
from other places and the rest of the country as much as possible. So I agree. Yes, I would say
Yeah.
Beijing. You want to look at the idea of China in terms of the last dynasty for sure, which really
Yes.
defined China as we know it today. You go to Beijing.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so when you got there, you were studying language,
Yes.
and how did you start researching Quanpu? So just for the listeners, because they obviously don't know what Quanpu is. Quanpu are
Oh,
written manuals that we usually hand down within traditional Chinese martial arts. They're written manuals. A lot of them used to be oral, and then they got written down at some point. Some of them got written down much recently. Some got written down further back, and etc. So these are manuals of martial arts styles and lineages, etc.
well, like first of all, we all know those Trempu back in the days from the movies, right? Because the teacher always passed it down to the student.
The
And
secrets.
like the secrets. The secrets.
Yeah.
And like we both know, all students inside each lineage, they want to have those Trempu, right?
Yeah.
So it must be something special. There must be something behind it, why everybody wants to have it. So I was fortunate, to get some Trempu from my teacher, right?
Okay.
And it's a different language. Even if you give it a native speaker, he maybe got no clue. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You have to have an understanding of the cultural background, which obviously the native speaker got, by all means. But you also have to understand the different energies, the different techniques, the different ways. So I found that because, I love literature in general, and I found that very, very interesting that basically I can give a native speaker a text, and he's looking at me like, I got no clue.
Yeah.
I understand every character, but, I got no clue. But he maybe understands it because, like, for example, if we, because we are both Westerners, right? If I would say to you, I smash now on the table like the Hulk. I'll always use this example because we both have now this picture in our head that I take both of my fists and I smash on the table, right?
Right.
So a Champu works a little bit like that because with the cultural background, if I write something like the phoenix is nodding his head, you have this beautiful bird thing, which is obviously nodding his head. If we now put that in the context with the Jen, with the sword, for example, we both know where I'm going because obviously it's a P or whatever because the tip of the sword is going to be nodded down, right?
We have this actual technique in our Xingyi spear called 分黄三点头, which is exactly that. The phoenix, it pecks its head 3 times. So exactly, yes. And you've got the imagery of a phoenix and it's pecking his head and you know the technique just from the name.
Exactly. And now please, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing how people back in the days could put things together? So even if you obviously, because you're a fighter, you're a peasant, whatever, you can't write, you can't read.
Yeah.
But I put it like in a poem thingy, so you can, like say it every day, and you have this picture in your head of the technique. And it's perfect.
Totally. Yeah, it's a very intelligent way to hand down knowledge, especially without people being literate. Yeah.
Yes. So I still get goosebumps when I talk about it because I think it's so beautiful and so perfect, like you say, So I wanted to dig deeper into it, but then you have this wall of people making a secret out of it. Trying to say it was difficult to get different Champu. It was difficult to dig deeper into it. It was difficult to get more info about it because, like maybe this student got that Champu and I got this Champu, So I was like, you want to share? Oh, no, I don't want to. And the other guy's like, yeah, I want to trade, please, So it was an interesting journey, and as far as I see it, nobody else was, like writing his thesis about that topic back in the days.
Yeah.
So, I was like, yeah, that's cool. I like it. It's better to write your thesis about something which you like.
Of course.
Instead of using another,
topic you hate.
Book. Yes.
But yes. You mentioned earlier that your teacher gave you some Chuanfu. Now, which teacher is this that you're referring to?
Yeah, Zhong Lian Bao.
Okay, so let's, if we could, how did you meet him, and what led up to that?
Like I told you before, Seven Star Mantis was practiced from a lot of people here in Germany.
Yeah.
So I had a fallout with the guy where I was teaching, and he was also involved in the Seven Star Mantis community. And a Kung Fu brother of him, he switched from, let's say, Hong Kong branch to Yantai branch.
All right.
So, and I was like, that's interesting. So I basically contacted that person, and I was asking him, is it okay for you that I join? And he was like, yeah, please, by all means, come by. So that was my first contact with the Yantai branch kind of training.
Yeah.
And actually, the year later, he invited Shrufu to come over.
Oh, okay.
So that's the first time I met Shrufu was here in Germany.
Okay.
So yeah, and this is where everything started.
So for the listeners, some of them would be familiar with Mantis in terms of they understand there's a style that's based apparently, allegedly on the techniques and ideas of this insect, but a lot of them don't know where it comes from. So I mean, you're the perfect person to
Oh no! this is something, like I'm too much academic to get involved. No, sorry, sir.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
have, like I said, you have these scholars and you have these fighters, whatever you want to call it, and you have a mixture of it.
Yeah.
What I learned is that everything comes at least from an insect or from a tiger or a dragon.
Okay.
At least you saw that, or you were talking to an immortal, or somebody sent it to you in your dream, or whatever. At some point, at least some kind of, like Shaolin or Wudang, whatever was involved.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of fights for at least 2 days, and nobody got killed. The
Or
other person,
slept.
and
Nobody ate or went to the toilet too. They just fought.
Right.
Right.
They just fought.
Yeah.
So the best man to ask about this is Will.
Yeah, we've had him on.
You already
We've
had
had
him
him
on
on.
the podcast.
Yeah.
He is amazing. His knowledge is amazing. He knows so much.
Yeah.
So I'm the wrong person because like, to be honest, I also have no interest in that because
sure.
there's no evidence for it. You know what I'm trying to say?
I get it. But in terms of geography, let's do that.
Let's
then.
say it comes from Shandong
Okay.
area.
All right. Fine. All right. So, for you, when you found out that you had been learning a Hong Kong branch, and then you found somebody after your falling out that was learning from the Yentai branch, and then you found out, obviously, at some point you knew that Mantis originated in Shandong and Yentai is in Shandong. So that must have been very exciting for you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Definitely. As more as you dig into it, and as more as you find out, okay, this is closer to the source.
Yeah.
Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
So because obviously things change, right? And you know that this student of this guy travels around, and he went there, and then he ended up there, and then he was at Jingbu, and blah 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 blah. All these stories we know. So as a matter of fact, like in Xingyiquan, for example, the styles can differ so much by the looks. You know what I'm trying to say?
The expression.
Yeah, the expression is completely different. And what I found out that also the applications, the Yongfa, the Bianhua, is quite different.
Okay.
So I was quite happy that I changed, and I always say I would have loved to have changed a long time before that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear.
But
hear
if
you.
you don't know that it exists, what you want to do,
Oh, of course. When you said that you were very happy, well, you were obviously impressed with the application, the use of the application.
Yeah.
So in terms of content, was the content exactly the same? Was there overlaps? Were there differences in content between what you were learning from the Hong Kong derived? Is it a bigger system in Yentai? Is the one that you're doing from Yentai? What would you?
What I found out is that for example in let's say Hong Kong, in Hong Kong it's a little bit like more is better, more forms are good.
Okay.
The person who got more Taolu is the guy, to go to.
Okay.
So that in terms of Taolu, it's less.
Okay.
In terms of the different kind of body mechanics, the different kind of how energy is generated, it's completely different.
Okay.
It looks sometimes the same, obviously. And some Taolu, you really think, okay, he's standing a little bit lower, he's doing a little, but you definitely can see that it's the same, But in terms of, like you said, application, it's such a huge difference.
Okay.
At least what my teacher showed me, because, like Yentai, there are a lot of teachers, you know what I'm trying to say? Yentai is like Mantis land, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So, I can just, talk about my own experience, and if you have this elderly gentleman, who smacks the shit out of me, No, we have to be honest.
Yeah, no, I had the same experience. Yeah, I've had the same experience. So, yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're firstly thinking, how is this happening? And then you're thinking, why is this happening? So, yeah.
And then the next thought is, I want to learn that.
Exactly
that. And suddenly it all makes sense. And I think, at least how I see it, we all get trapped in this. I want more Taolu is better
Yeah.
because I know more Kung Fu.
Right.
Which the opposite
It's
is
the
the
opposite.
truth, right?
But haven't you noticed
Yeah.
that? I mean, as you go, you've had your experience with going deeper into northern style Chinese martial arts, and haven't you noticed that it's so much when it's done with the right teacher who knows what he's doing and he has skill himself, that it's so much focus on the refinement of the few as opposed to the collecting of the many. It's far more important, that refinement of the few. And the funny thing is that people don't realize, especially in the beginning, and I think it's very hard for Westerners to understand it, is the fact that actually the refinement of the few leads you to be able to know many. You
Beautiful said. Yeah.
and you can't get that the other way around. So it's
No, you can't.
yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive. They don't think that they're actually they think the other way around. So it's very hard when you've got a teacher, and specifically the deeper northern Kung Fu way of teaching is so much time and effort just refining and going over. And he'll do the same thing with you for weeks. You know, and you think you're not learning anything, but you're actually refining it and refining it and refining it. Yeah.
Yes.
So
But that was good, because and now the language, is important again inside my learning curve, because I could speak to my teacher, and he was telling me, like back in the days when he was learning, that he learned, like actually, like that 2-3 moves, and he was sent back, do that. And then, like a week later or 2 weeks later, he went back to his shifu and he was like, no, do it again. And how can we as a Western person expect to go there for 3 days and learn a complete Taolu, learn all the Bianhua, the Yunghua, everything, just in 3 days and master it,
Or even a month.
So arrogant.
Yeah, and that's the common understanding. I mean, I don't mean to sound elitist. I know it kind of does sound elitist. Maybe we're just, maybe I'm being a little bit insensitive to people who don't have the opportunity to do this. But it has to be said, though, You cannot expect to come and learn some movements and then understand the art. You can't.
No, you can't. No.
And I think
it's impossible.
I think that's where a lot of this culture of form learning and thing that's and again, this leads to the degradation of the actual understanding of the art. So,
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So this actually ties in with what you were saying earlier about the beauty of Quanpu, which is, I mean, you said it very well as well. The beauty of the Quanpu is it's got a way to transmit not just the technique, so the physical action, but the spirit and then the intention and then also the tactic behind the action with one way.
Very important aspect. Yes, the tactic. Very important aspect.
So without all of that, the technique is only one small part and it's actually an empty shell. So if all you're learning is forms and you're not learning all of that other stuff, you're of course just carrying forward like an empty shell. That's quite relevant. I think it's quite an important point.
But we have to be honest. Like if people ask me, I want to learn how to fight. Don't, and I repeat, do not train Chinese martial arts. Do not do that. Because do you really want to put the time and the effort into it? Yeah. No, people don't want that.
Yeah.
Go and learn half of your boxing, half of your Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. You're good to go.
Yeah. Well, if that's your goal, you're done. You've got it quickly,
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. If that's your goal, but you have to be honest. If you want to dig deeper, if you want to explore the art, if you want to understand it, be part of it, explore it, however you want to call it. Yeah. Chinese martial arts offer so much. Yeah. One lifetime is not enough.
No, I agree.
It's not enough.
Yeah. So how did you get into this and then go into, you said the UFC, obviously that's one of the things, and then you went down your Brazilian Jiu Jitsu road.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, how did it start? Where did you begin? All of these.
I mean, we all saw Hoist Gracie were, literally kicking people's ass and snapping limbs, and people went to sleep, So at this time, because I trained judo for 10 years, but I never wanted to do the black belt exam because it makes for me no sense to show you some kind of kata and then I get my belt for it.
Okay.
You know, I never did that, you know. But, you know, I was brown belt in judo, so I knew a little bit of grappling. And one son of Grandmaster Helio Gracie, Robin Gracie, was coming close to my hometown for a seminar.
Okay.
So that was obviously for me the starting point to go there and to train with him because, you know, there must be something different, right?
Right.
So I went there and it's a common practice by the end of the seminars that you can roll, spar, however you want to call it, with the teacher, right? So I did that with Robin Gracie. And looking back, he was so nice because he gave me all the time to tap. But I didn't want to tap. No. Because, you know, I'm me tapping. Why should I tap? No, I had to pop. And he popped my elbow.
Oh, shit.
No, it's good. It's all good. It's a learning curve.
Right.
You always learn more when you get beaten up.
No, I think so too.
Yeah, but that's not the way for everybody, but that's the way how I learn the best, you know. So I went home, put ice on my elbow. And I was like, yeah, you have to learn that, you know? So to cut it short, my first Brazilian Jiu Jitsu teacher, he was American, but he was living in Belgium, in Antwerp, okay? So every Friday I was driving 256 kilometers one way.
Oh, my God.
But you know, this is when nowadays students are like, oh, I have to drive 20 minutes to the school. I can't come. Really? Don't bother me. You know. So I was doing that. Yeah, I was doing that every weekend, and you know, I was earning my. You know, then the time came. You know, where we were preparing for the European Championships, and he was like, if you win the European Championships, I give you your blue belt.
Right.
And back in the days, a blue belt, man, you were God. You know, blue belts were, you know, like wiping the mat with judo black belts, you know. So I was like, damn, I want to have that. So, yeah, I won the European Championships. I got my blue belt.
Wow, congrats.
And, oh, no, it's nothing special. You just go there and fight, you know. So that's easy. You know, the preparation. This is where you have to say congratulations because, you know, like, bro, everybody who fought MMA one time, everybody who fought Sanda one time, everybody who fought Thai, whatever, it's not the fight. We're all looking forward to fight. The fight is the fun part. Yeah, it hurts, but the fighting is beautiful. I love to fight. But the 6-week preparation, the diet, are you kidding me? Who loves that? Nobody loves that, right?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But you know, so I became a blue belt, and I was then the second person, but the first person in this part of Germany who was allowed to be part of Gracie Barra, and I was teaching Gracie Barra.
Okay.
Brazilian Jiu Jitsu method, style, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
And from there it went on, you know, and later on I switched team one time, and because again, like with my Hong Kong and Yantai experience, I always say I should have switched long time before that.
Okay.
Because, you know, now I'm part of the Kaika Jiu-Jitsu family, you know, and I couldn't be happier because I'm right at the source.
Well, I'll get back to that. I'm quite interested in that. But who is the American that you were learning with in Belgium? I mean, is he?
Nah.
Nobody.
No.
Okay. All right. We'll skip.
No, I'm not. You know, like you know, you have to say you have to see it like this. I'm a very loyal person, and I never talk bad about my ex-girlfriends, never ever.
Okay.
But I also don't mention them.
Okay.
But obviously, there's a reason why she's my ex-girlfriend,
okay.
right?
I understand. Right. I got it. I got it. Okay, so maybe you can tell me from your perspective, coming from a judo background, and
yes,
that were you doing judo when they were still allowing people to grab legs?
Yes.
Okay, so I mean it's even more different to what it is today, because even today it's quite a big difference between then. So we could say that at the time then already, let's just say it's a little bit more complete than it was today in that regard. But you still saw a huge difference between that and what you learned when you started doing, or what you experienced with the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu variation. So
yes.
could you from your perspective, what did you see were the major differences?
Let's put it like that. If people ask me what the difference is, I always like, to compare it with cars. For example, if you take an old Beetle, an old German Beetle,
Yeah.
okay, which is a beautiful car, very reliable.
I used to have one. It's a great car.
So, it will bring you from point A to point B without any problems, right?
Yeah.
But if you compare it to a Ferrari or to a Mercedes, it's faster, it's more on point,
Yeah.
and it's definitely the better machine.
Okay.
But it still brings you from point A to point B. So if you see it from the history of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, you have this sick kid, Grandmaster Helio Gracie, who is, like 50 kilograms. He's sick. He can't do things like other people can do. So you have to find levers. You have to use leverage. You have to adjust techniques.
Yeah.
So what you're doing, you're purifying it. You're refining it. So if you take, for example, the basic X choke.
Yeah.
The basic collar choke.
Cross collar. Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. Cross collar.
Cross collar choke.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Which is taught in judo, right?
Yeah.
So if a judo guy does it, besides the fact that the technique is, for me, from my point of view, how I see people doing it not correct, it feels completely different, like when I do it or when my master is doing it. Okay. The feeling is different, and it's faster, it's more accurate, and it's an art in itself.
Right.
I think, because like if Olympic judo, sports judo in general, is a brutal sport. It screws up your body. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It's no good. It's not healthy, to put it like this. Okay. You can do that on a high level for a couple of years, and then it's over, right? Helio Gracie was over 80 and he was still kicking people's ass.
Right.
So I want to have this part, not the other part.
Well,
okay.
Speaking of Helio and his ability, and speaking of the evolution of the two arts, so if we're looking at Japanese original Kodokan Judo, today we've got IJF Judo, and we've got the evolution of Gracie Jiu Jitsu. So if we go back, the further back we go, they come from the same roots, they both come out of Kano's students, right? And if we go back even to when Kimura went to Brazil, Masahiko Kimura, and did what he did, okay, we can have an argument about that for 5 days with five different people having different opinions about that. But back then, judo at that time, when Kimura was still active, and in those days, it was also quite different to what it is today, right?
That's the reason why I'm, like I told you in the beginning, I'm a secondary black belt in judo, but not in this Olympic kind of IJF, whatever.
Yes.
I'm in the lineage of Tokyo Hirano,
okay,
which is one of the greatest judo guys ever. Definitely, you should, Google him.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what Helio Gracie is doing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, what Master Hickson likes to call the invisible Jiu-Jitsu, you also feel in Tokyo Hirano Judo.
Okay.
And the throws also look different.
Okay.
And they have a different meaning. So that's, again, I'm super happy to be there again at the source, I'm trying to say.
Right.
So, yes. So basically the judo I'm doing is more, or like we also like to call it, it's the old school judo.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? There are still punches, there are still kicks. It's different.
Yeah.
And it's not weightlifting, just drilling, 2 throws, you know what I mean? No, it's not.
I see. Okay.
But again, one of my mentors always said to me, feeling is believing.
Yeah.
So it's like in Chinese martial arts. We can talk a lot about like if you can generate the power, yes or not. Once I touch you, I feel it, right?
Right.
So the same goes for Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, Gracie lineage. The same goes for Tokyo Hirano Judo lineage.
Okay.
Once I touch you, you will feel the difference.
That's very interesting. And then you said you've gone on to, in your Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, because I deviated when you mentioned this. You said that you started you under a new after you left
Yeah.
Gracie Barra, and what is
Yeah.
it's Kaik? Well,
Kaike.
okay. So
So it's like like Grandmaster Helio Gracie didn't give out many black belts, right? I mean, outside of the family.
right.
So Master Kaike is one of the few guys who got the black belt from Helio Gracie. He was teaching in Helio's academy.
Okay.
That guy is, I mean, you can ask my wife because she's always present when I train with him in LA, and he literally gives me no chance whatsoever, but is holding at the same time a conversation with my wife. And it's I feel like a little kid. It doesn't matter what I do. He just stops it in the beginning. He sweeps me whenever he wants to. He submits me whenever he wants to, and he's so super nice and no power whatsoever.
Wow.
That's the purest way of jiu-jitsu. It's like Hickson.
Yeah.
It's a beauty. It's an art.
Yeah.
And it still teaches the old ways of self-defense. You know what I mean? It's not sport. Can you use it for sport competition? Bro, for sure. I use it. Yeah, for sure you can do it. But it's the source.
Sure.
And it's different. It's completely, you don't lie on your back and do berimbolo all day long.
Right.
Because in the street you get kicked, right?
Yeah. Stomped.
So stomped, kicked,
Yeah.
thrown chairs on your top, whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well,
But that's I met him when I was a black belt. Was the first time I met Master Kaike here in Germany.
okay.
And it was amazing. It was amazing, and I just wish I would have met him years before that,
Okay. So you're teaching his system in
Yes.
Germany. Okay.
Yes.
Did you find that your
It's-
understanding and your experience in the application as you were learning and traveling through your jiu-jitsu route, the understanding of the dynamics, the applications, and the methods helped you to better understand your other arts?
I would put it like this. What I found out is that we just have two arms and two legs. And that it's very interesting to see that, for example, Master Kaike or my Shifu are doing basically the same
Right.
when they apply a lock.
Okay.
The force vectors are basically the same. This is why it looks effortless for both of them.
Okay.
So this is, it sounds now a little bit like yin yang philosophy, but by the end of the day, we're all the same.
Yeah.
The core is the same, So I found that very interesting because, like once the basic armbar from the guard, and everybody is, like gripping the arm or, like once you understand where to place the force vectors, once you do it correctly, it's not about pushing your hips in front or whatever. There's no need for it. I just need my pinky and you will tap.
Yeah.
Same goes for if my Shifu traps you, and got your arm and he's going to apply a lock on it, So it's effortless.
Yeah.
But it's the same force vectors,
Right. But it's a basic understanding that of that, and also how the body moves to apply those, and so there's a lot of overlap there. Look, I mean, I found a lot of overlap when I started doing grappling as well, so it helped me.
Yeah, nice.
And I was lucky enough that my initial teacher was a old generation as well. He's a black belt under Pedro Sauer, so he.
Oh, awesome.
So he was
Old
also
school.
old school. None of this berimbolo is like, okay,
Whatever.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna punch at your face and you're gonna move and get behind me and
yeah.
get the body clinch
Right.
and whatever. But I'm gonna punch you in the face. I mean, so
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Obviously. Yeah.
So yeah, I found there's I mean there might be differing situations if you're lying on the floor or standing up, but the mechanics
Yeah.
and the principles, there's a lot of overlapping
Yes.
with a lot of the
Yes.
methods. So yeah, it's good. So and you said your Mantis teacher was very supportive of that, so
Yeah.
that's very good as well.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
So you started traveling also to Shandong and training there?
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously, I visit my shifu a couple of times right now because of Corona.
Yeah, I know.
It's the whole situation is different right now. So, but yeah, I was there a couple of times, definitely.
What do you think
Definitely.
what do you think of well, first of all, of Yantai, and then secondly of the
I got no idea. The only thing I know is the hotel room and the Wugwan.
Okay.
Don't ask me.
Yeah, good. So
No, really.
you're
I got to really. I mean, that's people don't understand that when I talk to people. People love to go to vacations, right? People love that. I couldn't care less.
right.
You know why I traveled to L.A.? Because Master Keike lives in L.A.
Okay.
His two sons are living there. There's the academy. This is why I go to L.A. You know why I also travel to L.A.? Because the Dog Brothers fight there.
Right.
Whenever you see me going somewhere, it's cause of fighting or sport, however you want to call it. And for sure, I take my family with me because, like my wife loves Hermosa Beach. It's beautiful there.
Yeah.
There's the ocean. My son loves it,
Yeah.
But for me, I never, ever go to a vacation like other people for a vacation.
Right.
It always has a meaning for my martial arts way, expression, however you want to call it, So I got no, like how's, like people, you're not the first one. How's Yenta? I got no clue. I couldn't care less. There's this beautiful park. I was at the park because my shifu trained there, and my shifu brought me there, so we trained also in the park. Yeah, that's beautiful. Right. So I couldn't, no, I can tell you more about Beijing because there I was a tourist, but I got no clue. Because waking up in the morning, training, right?
Right.
You go back, you eat. Maybe you rest a little bit, and then you go back to training. Then you eat, then you sleep, and repeat.
Right.
And repeat. And repeat. And in the hotel room, you know what I did.
Yeah.
Training.
Yeah. Of course, review what you learned that day, and
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I got no time for that sightseeing thingy.
And what's it like training with your teacher there in Yantai? I mean,
Wow, it's awesome. I mean, I have to say, once you become a Baishu 2D,
yeah.
things changed,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you say of course because you live it.
Yeah.
Other people don't understand, so I'm not sure if the listeners all know that, but things changed then. So before it was awesome, after it was, I don't know a better word in English, it was, man, unbelievable.
Yeah.
He explains everything. I can bother him all day,
Right.
and he's like, yeah, do it like this, like that, and when he knows that I'm going, fighting, Dark Brothers gatherings, we take the spear again because I want to use the spear to fight, and he shows me this and that, and do this and that, and we repeat, So it's amazing.
Yeah.
And he always, like how some Chinese teachers, they don't want to answer your questions because maybe they don't have an answer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? And he always answers my questions, always, and I always get hit hard. No, I love that.
Yeah.
He's not a talker. He shows you how it's done. And I really appreciate that because he let me feel his energy. He let me feel what he's doing, so...
Well, that's the only way to really understand is to feel it.
Yes. So I couldn't be happier. Let's put it like that,
And were there when you're training there, or are there any other people from Germany or other foreigners that that train with you?
Mostly, some of my students also, and a Kung Fu brother of mine, so we are like 6, 7 people.
We go together.
Who go down. Yes,
Oh, that's very
yes.
cool.
Which is always cool, you know.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, I mean, it's also helpful to go with, if you have Kung Fu brothers that live close to you, to go with and learn, because if one of you
Yeah,
has understood one
yeah,
aspect better or forgotten another aspect, then the other one sometimes can help you, fill
definitely.
and yeah, that's very good. It's a very, very good thing to do. And in Germany, are you teaching Mantis as well? Or, I mean, I know you've got a
Yes, yes.
jiu-jitsu academy.
No, I don't have an academy.
You don't?
If Corona showed us one thing, then at least here in Germany, if you have an academy,
Yeah.
you are now broke and live on the street.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I have a normal day job. Let's put it like that.
Mm,
You know, I work for a big security company,
okay.
um, and I earn good money with it. I'm also self-employed if it comes to martial arts. Yes, and I teach.
Right.
Yes, for sure. I teach 3 days a week. I teach Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and 2 days a week I teach Chinese martial arts, Seven
Okay.
Star Mantis Kungfu.
Well, that's very good. I
But
mean,
I don't.
I think that's actually a healthier way in many ways, because you're not your passion is your martial
Yes,
arts, and
yes.
it can stay a passion because you don't have to worry about it paying the bills per se. Yeah.
And that's very interesting point that you mentioned that because, for me, it was always important that I can tell the student, go away.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah,
I don't want to teach you. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I choose who I teach, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. That's a very important point as well. Yeah, so you can choose the right student with the right attitude who's
Yes,
not wasting your time,
exactly,
etc.
sir.
So, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Well, I know you got involved in Dog Brothers. I don't know.
Yeah.
I probably most of the listeners will know a little bit about it, but maybe you can explain what that is and how you got involved in all of that.
Well, basically, we're a bunch of psychopaths who use sticks and beat the shit out of each other. Let's put it like that. So, I mean, it all started back in the days when, like the original Dog Brothers, they met, in LA,
Okay.
and they put fencing masks on and they test their Filipino martial arts. Dog Brothers is based on Filipino martial arts, let's put it like that.
Okay.
And the whole idea is there are no winners, there are no losers,
Right.
okay? One rule only, be friends at the end of the day.
Okay.
Okay, nobody should spend the night in the hospital, obviously,
Mm.
but protect yourself at all times. All weapons are allowed if you find somebody else who's willing to fight you. There are no weight classes.
Mm.
There are no rules except of, let's put it like that, normal way of thinking. For example, if you turn around and I see the backside of your head,
Mm.
for sure I will not smack you with a stick there because, it could be a finished blow, right?
Yeah.
But I will smack your butt so hard you will feel it for days, because, usually that would be your head,
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, it all started when like I told you before, I basically like to fight.
Mm.
I love it, and I saw these clips where these psycho people are, beating the shit out of each other using the fencing mask and hitting, and I was like, damn, that looks awesome, And then they were fighting a guy with a three-sectional staff. And one of the Dog Brothers said, of the original Dog Brothers said, like the three-sectional staff is just a performing weapon.
Okay.
It's not meant for fighting.
Yeah.
And that really got me mad. Because, no, I mean, let's face it. Just because you face a person who got no clue
What he's
how to
doing.
use,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that the weapon is a bad weapon,
Well,
right?
that applies to Chinese martial arts as well, I mean,
Thank you, sir.
yeah.
Thank you. Exactly. So my son was, how old, honey? My son was 3 weeks old?
Yeah.
Yeah, my son was 3 weeks old, and I went to the first gathering. A gathering is where we meet and fight.
Okay.
So I contacted the European leader of the Dog Brothers. I asked him if I'm allowed to fight, and he was like, yeah, it's public, you can fight, no problem at all.
Mm.
So I went there, I was talking to, like Mark Denny, who is, like the guiding force of the Dog Brothers, one of the original guys. And I told him, yeah, tomorrow I will fight with the three-sectional staff. And he was like, by now, nobody impressed me. And that got me so mad again, And I was like, yeah, maybe I'm the one,
Yeah.
you know? So next day, fighting three sectional staff, and I got an invitation from him personally to come next year to the tribal gathering. Tribal gathering is just for members of the Dog Brothers tribe. You know,
Okay.
they have, you know, like first you're a fighter, then you become a dog, then you become a candidate dog brother, and then you become a full dog brother.
Okay.
Okay, which can take, you know, like 5, 6, 7 years, depending how much you fight, whatever.
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
So obviously I did something right. Otherwise you wouldn't invite me.
Obviously you impressed
So
him.
what-
Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah. So, you know, next year I was going there, you know, got to the tribal gathering, and I immediately became candidate dog brother, and 1 year later I became a full dog brother,
Okay.
you know.
When you went that second year, did you use the trisectional again?
Yes,
Okay, very interesting.
yes. Three sectional staff and spear, or staff, however you want to put it. That's my weapons.
Right. Okay, very interesting. Now, I mean, I'm a little bit curious about how I've only seen clips of the Dog Brothers. So, you wear fencing headgear.
Yes.
You wear gloves, I'm sure, as well, right? So you,
Yes, but the gloves are very thin. The gloves are just because, you know, you have this cheese grinder effect if you punch a person on the fencing mask.
oh, okay. So you don't get your skin grated off.
Yes, yes. But, you know, like I broke hands with my three sectional staff. You know, it doesn't matter what gloves you wear. You know, there are rules. You're not allowed to wear thick gloves. You know, no carbon fiber or whatever. No, it's just to protect your fingers instead of grinding.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, I was wondering. Is that one of the more common injuries though? Broken fingers, broken hands.
Bro, I saw everything.
Really?
I saw broken kneecaps. I saw broken forearms.
Ooh.
A lot broken forearms. Knockout, punctures.
Ooh.
You know, stabs. You know, stab wounds, however you want to call it. You know, like when people use aluminum blades. You know, so I saw everything.
So yeah,
You know?
so what? I mean, you said people are allowed to use whatever weapons they want to as long
Yeah.
as somebody's willing to fight. But if you're using a blade, I mean, what are you gonna wear?
Obviously, you're using aluminum blade.
Okay.
So we have people who use, you know, like krabi krabong, aluminum swords, or a dao, or a jen, whatever you want to use, or a katana. You know, it doesn't matter. You know.
But it's not sharp,
So-
right? I mean, it's
No, it's made out of aluminum,
Okay.
but it's got a tip,
yeah.
and he will hit you. So wherever he hits you, you better block,
Yeah.
or something might get damaged, right? I mean, it's common sense. If I use, for example, a rattan staff
Yeah.
made of rattan, you know, I can go full force, full power, and I will do that. And I will knock you out, or I will break whatever I can break.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But if I have an aluminum blade, which is, you know, like thin, it will break things easier, right?
Yeah.
So is it a stick? No, it's a sword. So it should be cutting, right?
Yeah.
So by the end of the day, it's about your own development. You want to see how your technique works. So it's not about injuring the other person.
Although it
An
happens,
injury
yeah.
might happen.
Yeah.
We see each other like a tribe.
Okay.
Okay. So for example, if you are part of my tribe and we have to defend next week our tribe, and I break you today, would that help us? No. But if I go soft on you and you don't develop your skill set, would that help us? No.
Yeah.
So it's common sense.
Okay.
We look like idiots because we are all smelly and sweaty and hate each other, but we know what we're doing.
Yeah. Okay.
You know? But yes, it's a slim line. We're, you know, wandering along. Let's put it like that.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
Well,
So,
I mean, injury
it's not-
is a part and parcel of pressure testing.
Yes,
So it's,
exactly.
it's always going to be there.
Exactly.
So you.
You know, and you know, I had gatherings where I don't know, 7, 8 fights, and I had nothing, not even one bruise, nothing.
Well, you
And
you did a very good job defending yourself then. So, yeah. Yeah.
I was more the aggressor. You know what I'm
Ah,
trying
I
to say?
see. Offense is the best defense.
Yes, it is. But I also had gatherings, where you know the first fight you get hit on your thigh, and you know like the next weeks are ruined because, you got such a big bruise and it's getting bigger and bigger, and but that's part of the game. And like we always say, it's not meant for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's good because I don't want everybody to do that.
Yeah. How often are these gatherings? I mean, you mentioned that you first participated in the European gathering. Is there a world gathering? Is there...
No, we have Europe, Canada, and obviously the United States.
Okay. And they never have one mixed where you've gone to people from one...
You can go to every gathering.
Oh, I see. That's just the location it's held.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, very, very interesting. Very interesting. I think it's something that a lot of people don't, I mean, unless you're very practicing with a weapon and understanding the weapon, particularly with like staffs and sticks, but particularly staffs, I think it's kind of misleading that people don't realize how much force those things develop and produce. It's actually mind-blowing how much force. Even, because, like, I mean, we do a lot of staff partner work as well. And
nice.
If you just add a little bit of speed and something goes wrong, and you're not even using full power, the potential for damage and break is so high. And you understand why this is one of the, most widespread and oldest weapons known to mankind,
It is. So, it is. This is the first thing we picked up. It was a stick.
Exactly, yeah. It comes naturally to everyone. You don't have to tell them how to hit something with a stick. Most of them kind of know how to hit something with a stick. Yeah,
right.
Intuitively.
Right. But I also have to tell you that obviously, if you attend a gathering, I like to put it like that. Fighting at the Dog Brothers gathering gave me more than like 5-6 years of training Chinese martial arts.
In terms of understanding, you mean? Yeah?
In terms of understanding and in terms of what the hell am I doing? You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Because, like the funny thing is, how the Chinese community works. The Chinese martial arts community. So people see me fighting with three-sectional staff and they're like, oh, no, you use it like a flail. That's not correct. You have to grab both ends. Thank you, sir. Did you ever do that if somebody on the other side is trying to rip your head off?
I know what you mean.
No, I didn't.
But if anybody says that, they're wrong. They're wrong because just classically the way the weapon was used, it wasn't held only by the two ends. And I'm sure you know of that weapon called a big sweeper, right?
Yes, sir, for sure.
So
I love it.
These weapons they're just variations of the same principle. A big sweeper. Yes. So in a big sweeper, you're just gonna use one end and swing the other end. So why the hell wouldn't you?
Yes.
Why the hell wouldn't you do that with a trisection? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but like I had this discussion on the internet with so-called sifus, shifus, whatever. It's just funny. Like you never ever fought with it. And please, by all means, I pay your airplane ticket. Come here, participate, and show me. And maybe you're the one who can teach me then a new thing. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Good invested money, right? But, those people are just talking and they never did it because they do this two-man sets, where, the spear attacks you. You want to be... Bro, if you attack me with your spear, it's over. That's a fact. The spear is the king of weapons. We have to face it like that.
For sure.
But no, I had a three-sectional staff and I grab it in two hands. I got a chance. Watch out, Byron, I'm coming. Please.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, people don't realize that the spear. Look, for me, I look at weapons, particularly if you research weapons through the evolution of their shapes and forms and the types. There's just a few archetypes. And what you see is evolutionary changes of those archetypes into different things. I mean, a stick to a ge, a spear, and all of these things. They're all evolutionary changes made because, well, like what you're doing Dog Brothers fighting. They went through war to figure that out. Right. And they figured out what's a better way to change the weapon, what's a better way to use it. So, these things evolved over time. a gun and a spear. You had gu with, double heads and a spear tip on the top.
Yeah.
Some of them
Yeah.
were used to whack down and pull and then thrust forward. So,
Exactly.
we found out that there's a few methods and a few shapes and a few geometrical designs and a
Right.
few
Yes.
energies that are a lot more effective to use, and spear is one of those. As it is, it's focused on a very effective and very, very hard to defend against attack, which is simply put
Yes.
jia qiang. I mean, that if you want to
Yeah.
narrow it down to why is the spear the king of weapons, jia, and it's long. You've got this long
That's it.
stick
Yeah.
with a pointy thing at the
Yeah.
end that's made out of steel,
Yeah.
and I'm thrusting it
Yeah.
at you in a straight line,
Yes.
So
Yes.
there you go.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. But people don't realize that, and people also don't, like the beautiful thing I think inside Chinese martial arts is the broad variety we bring to the table if it comes to weapons. You have this, let's say this Kung Fu school weapons, trying to say the bench and, like the
Yeah.
flute and the fan and all that, which is beautiful. But by the end of the day, the spear is the king of all weapons.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, definitely I might be biased because I'm a Xingyi person, and that's just one of the... I
Yeah.
do practice my other weapons, but the spear has a very special place, so, yeah.
Yes, I agree, 100%.
So have you fought with spears in Dog Brother events?
Yes, for sure.
What, I mean, you're putting tips on it when you're fighting, or you're just using a stick?
I have one spear which got an aluminum tip on it,
Okay.
but I found it too risky because of the energy I can generate. Because I would definitely still stab your throat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I wrapped it with foam. So it's still metal inside. It's still hard. But what I usually use now are long rattan sticks. And I tape them with silver duct tape on the top, so it's the spear tip.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because by the end of the day, it always comes down to the two guys who are fighting. If you fight me and we both agree that this stick, rattan stick, is a spear, so we both have a different approach to our fight because we know it's a spear tip, it's sharp, it's heavy. If you hit my hand, the fight might be already over and all that, So this is what Dog Brothers bring to the table, the understanding of the weapon.
Well, that's very good that people honor that, so...
Yeah, you have to, because, like don't get me wrong, idiots, they just think they can rush into you. And while he's rushing into you, you maybe just glaze him right over the face. So imagine your spear tip glazed me over my face. The last thing I will do is to continue my rush.
No, you'll go
right?
pick your eyes up. You'll go find your eye. And
yeah, beautiful. So this is what you're looking for, an opponent who is having that kind of approach. If you fight with such a weapon, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I mean, people. It's very hard to have a full out spear and create a safe training method. It's just almost impossible. I remember I was training probably 8 or 9 years ago, must have been, with my shifu one morning, and we had a spear there, and the place that we were training at, we used to train next to a park many years ago in a parking lot of a restaurant, because the park was always full of people, and the restaurant was closed early in the morning, so it was completely empty and deserted. But they had thrown away a table, the restaurant, okay, and it was lying on its side, so the tabletop was vertical.
Yeah.
And it was on a tree, leaning on a tree, which is where we used to train, by this big tree, right? And
cool.
I mean, my teacher said to me, "Let's see what you can do to that table with this spear. Let's see how far you can get into the wood if you do a jia, just a thrust."
Yeah.
I said, "All right," and I remember thrusting. And I went straight through the table, and it went so far into the tree that it took 10 minutes to get it out of the tree.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of what's going to happen. Now imagine even a
Right.
blunt tip on a spear with that kind
Yes.
of force.
Yeah.
And if somebody's running, the tree wasn't running at me. But
Exactly.
it's pretty scary
Yeah.
what so it's very I know it's very hard to do that. But that's why I say it's very good that the people that you're with are honoring the idea that that is a
Yes.
spear with a spear tip. So
Yes.
yeah, that's
Yes.
good training, I suppose.
Yes. Beautiful. Best training ever.
Do you have any students that join you from Germany that join you with the Dog Brothers stuff or?
Former student of mine, but he's not my student anymore. He did that, and for sure, the students in general helped me to prepare it.
Really? Okay. Okay. And how much?
Yeah, you need somebody.
Yeah.
You need somebody to whack you. You know what I mean?
But with that fencing headgear, how much of the sting does it take off of the strike? I mean,
Nothing.
okay. So,
No, people have this misconception in their head that sometimes people call it a helmet.
yeah.
A helmet is a thing which protects you,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Okay. A helmet protects you when you fall to the ground, when you fall from the bike, whatever you want to call it. That's a helmet.
Yeah.
No, a fencing mask protects your eyes from the stab
Okay.
and the throat from the stab. That's all what the thing is doing.
Yeah.
But if you get whacked on the side of it, you will get knocked out.
Right. Right.
If the thrust goes right in the middle of your face, you will get knocked out.
Yeah.
It takes nothing of the energy away.
Yeah.
Maybe like 5%, don't get me wrong, because there's still something in between us. But it's like if you wore two hoodies. No, the energy, boom, you will get knocked out. And especially, we have people who have the approach of using old school fencing mask, which is more like a mash. You know what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say? You can smash it with your fingers. So no, and we have always you have this big dents inside the fencing mask once you get hit hard. So and you still have people who get cuts underneath these fencing masks because of the energy when the hit hits you on the side of your
Yeah.
head, whatever.
What do you think of the
So-
HEMA gear, the current gear that the HEMA guys are using?
I think it's important for them because they use blunt steel weapons.
Okay. You don't.
I think
not something you would consider with the Dog Brothers events.
no, no, no. We have to be honest. As more protection you have, as more false security you will have inside your head.
And you'll take more unrealistic risks as well.
It is like that.
I see.
It is like that. If you wear thick gloves, and we both have our spears, and we start with Hua and whatever, play around, and I hit your hand.
Yeah, which is common.
And you're like, yeah, fuck, like he hit my hand. I couldn't care less,
Right, right.
If you have no glove on and I just slide down your spear pole and I hit your thumb, it's over.
Yeah, I know.
So what's the goal? Is the goal to stand in front of each other and hit each other, or is the goal to explore the art and see why things are in the way they are? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So less protection means higher consciousness.
I was gonna ask you that. What you've competed in jiu-jitsu, you've competed in other events too. Is let's just say your first time in a Dog Brothers event, would you say the adrenaline and the conscious level, I mean, I've competed a lot in combat sports as well, so I know that feeling in your gut, is it different in Dog Brothers than it is in those other events?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think
definitely.
so. Yeah.
Because, like, for example, I fought MMA. MMA is easy. Because you know your opponent, right? You know he's a grappler or a striker or both. You know his record. You can see his clips before. Like you're prepared, right? If you enter the Dog Brothers gathering, you got no clue who you're going to fight. So I was fighting people weighing 120 kilograms, 2 heads taller than me, wrestling machine. He picks me up and he slams me on the floor and he starts to punch my face.
Oh, really?
Okay, and you're there and you're like, oh, I just need to arm, but boom, I just need to arm, boom, I just boom, boom, man, boom,
Yeah.
So suddenly, you have people in a triangle, and that guy suddenly, draws a knife and he starts to stab you.
Yeah.
So you have to be, conscious of the whole situation. It's not just grappling. So no, it's completely different. Completely different.
Yeah.
But it's the best way how to explore your art.
Yeah.
And I always tell everybody who asks me, you should do that one time. And don't do it with one of your students, because he will never hit you hard.
Oh, for sure.
Find a full dog brother, because we know what we are doing. You know what I'm trying to say? When you turn your back to me, I would never hit you where I know I can injure you, but I would still hit you. I would give you the lesson which you need, because you turned your back to me. Never in fighting turn your back. We know that, But you will turn your back to me because maybe you're overwhelmed,
Natural.
So
the natural overwhelming.
natural.
Yeah, it's a natural flight
Yes.
instinct.
Yes.
So.
I always like to tell that to my students, also at my seminars, that the human, that fighting in general is not a human thing, right? You have the tendency to close your eyes because, your eyes need to be protected, right? You're turning away because, the brain is telling your body, no, protect me, we don't want that. That's the reason why you curl down when you're on the floor and all that. There are reasons for it. The human body is very intelligent. But the last thing we want to do is fighting. Fighting is against everything your body wants to do, because you get injured. Look at our hands. They're not meant to be punching tools. It's too fragile. It makes no sense. So as a fighter, we have to overcome this big obstacle to tell our body, no, it's all good.
Don't,
it's all good.
Don't naturally turn around and curl up. Do the exact opposite. Keep your eyes open.
Do the opposite. It's all good. You get punched, you bleed. It's all good, So that's the tricky part.
Yeah.
And you can just achieve that by people who know what they are doing. So that's the best part, because at Dog Brothers gatherings, you always have the regular fighters, hot, they want to fight, you brawl, maybe they want to, impress people, and you have the Dog Brothers. We did that, so I got no ideas how many fights I had, hundreds. I got no idea how many fights I had. Still, it's the same feeling, don't get me wrong, but I'm calm inside the storm, if you know what I'm trying to say.
And that's what you're training. I think that's exactly what you were saying, to be calm in the storm.
Yes. So if the beginner is losing it, I can still bring him back on track.
Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, don't you think that is a lot of people don't actually value or understand the value of, let's just use the word because it's so misused today, which is that word called lineage. And I personally think that, it shouldn't be, we shouldn't talk about lineage very superficially and just say, okay, lineage means this or it doesn't mean that. But on a basic level, it means exactly what you've just said, right? I mean, the difference between a first time fighting a person who fights in Dog Brothers, and a Dog Brother who has the experience, right? Learning from those two people, or I'll just use the Dog Brothers gathering as an example. A beginner who's never done this can get to good understanding of combat through just doing lots of fights over and over and over again. And he most likely will get to the correct understanding. Not guaranteed, because nothing's guaranteed. He most likely will get. But the chances are increased 1,000-fold if he was doing that learning process under the guidance of somebody who has that experience already, like a Dog Brother, right?
Fact. And this is where lineage comes.
And this is the value of lineage. And this is why the argument about lineage doesn't mean skill, doesn't mean fighting. No, nobody said that is what lineage means, right? So it's that experience. And yes, it can be that somebody has experience but hasn't reached that goal, like I just said with example 1. He hasn't achieved that correct placement. So maybe, yes, you'll have difficulty or problems coming out of a lineage like that. It's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee,
You're right.
but it's more of a guarantee than the opposite, right? So, I
Exactly.
think people misunderstand that. And I mean, what you've just said, the ability to be able to, in a combat situation, have somebody turn his back and you still teach him the lesson safely, that is the value of lineage, and the generations are supposed to be handing this down. That's what we're supposed to be handing down. So
Yes. 100% agree. Yes.
that's very interesting.
Definitely.
So I mean, it's you still fighting in these Dog Brother events now.
Yes.
Obviously,
yes.
Corona
Right now,
before times, So
Yes, for sure.
so once things open up, you'll probably get back into it, and
Yeah, for sure. The next one is scheduled in August in Switzerland. So to be honest, I don't see this happening.
okay.
But if it's happening, I would love to go and fight with a meteor hammer.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, because I fought with a 9-sectional whip before.
Yeah. How did that do?
It sucks.
Oh really?
Yeah, the thing is, it's don't get me wrong, it's just made out of rattan, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, the first hit, I hit him right on his hand, and it would have been a fight ender,
Of course.
at least a fight changer, for sure. But since it's it really starts to wrap around your body and everything, distance and all that, so that make myself think a lot about these kind of weapons.
Okay.
And I'm 100% sure that, for example, back in the days, like a 9-sectional whip is too long for fighting. Take the 3-1.
Yeah, 3. I agree.
Awesome.
I agree.
Inside the house or a tea house, wherever you want to, like those small alleys in Beijing, they were awesome. That thing will break bones, and it's concealable.
But that's exactly
it's
it. What you just said there, the last thing, the concealable part. You see, you went into a Dog Brothers fight with a 9-sectional whip against another armed opponent, right?
And he had the staff,
Well, so. I don't ever think that the 9-sectional whip was intended to be used against other directly battlefield armed people. It was used...
Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
It's used in a civilian setting where it gives you the upper hand against even an unarmed guy or a couple of guys, because you're going to smash them with this thing 1, 2, 3, and that's the end of it,
Yeah. 100% agree. Yes, sir. So like like I'm exploring for myself a lot with the meteor hammer lately, because of Corona. Also, that's one thing I can do in my garden a lot, And how can I put it? I don't like how Chinese martial arts are so flashy sometimes. I think that the original idea of the meteor hammer is just to break bones, what I mean? Like a brutal, vicious thing, and all this, because I know you're an expert of the rope dart, like all this fleshy twirling around your body, your elbow,
unnecessary.
Blah, 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 thing.
It's unnecessary.
Absolutely.
I mean, look, I'll be honest, it's fun to learn to be able to do that, but the reality is it's unnecessary.
Yes. So I want to condense it. You know what I mean? I want to melt it down to what's important. So that's straight shooting out directly in the face. Beautiful. Retreat it fast. Hold it on short distance. Smack the guy and have a dagger already in your sight, so you can use it in close distance.
Right.
So that's one thing I would love to explore with the help of my brothers, because how is it if somebody is trying to rip my head off? Can I still shoot it out straight?
Yeah. Can
I still do it like that? So there's just one way to find it out.
Have you seen some of the older, older versions of the meteor hammers that they've found here, like what they look like?
I got two antique samples here in my collection.
Did they have a chain on them?
I have one which got a chain on
And
it.
how many heads?
Just one
Okay.
head.
Yeah.
I can send you pictures later.
Yeah,
know?
yeah. That'd
So
be
it's
interesting.
very,
That'd be interesting to
it's very interesting. It's definitely original. The chain is also original. You know, it's very interesting. So I think it's a close quarter, like the three sectional whip. Close quarter, smashing bones, concealable. Very vicious, very nasty weapon.
Yeah.
You know.
I've seen double-headed ones with short chains connecting them, and I mean, you can imagine what you can do with that thing just by swinging it at and
Yes.
so, and it doesn't matter which end you grab. So a lot of people kind of misunderstand why there's two heads on it. They think you're gonna throw it and it's gonna entwine legs. Yeah, maybe, but probably not. It's got two heads on it because you can grab either of them and swing the other. You don't have to. It's a very quick way to be able to use it because it doesn't matter which end you grab. The other end is the same. So
I mean, that's also, like the sad part inside Chinese martial arts, to have good sources. I read, that it was also a weapon for hunting back in the days.
Okay.
Like the bola, like it makes sense to throw it.
Yes,
definitely.
I'm sure there were versions of that. I mean, I'm sure there were.
Definitely versions of it. Beautiful set. Yeah, definitely. But like you say, like it got two ends of it. You have no needs to worry, right?
It's just just grab it and swing. It's pretty,
yes.
So
yes.
that again comes back to what environment it's going to be used in. So like it's a
exactly sure.
civilian environment in a town or a city or a village or something like that is going to be slightly different to elsewhere. So that's very interesting. I'd be interested to see what you discover with your use of this thing. So that's
I will let you know for sure. There will be clips then.
All right. Well, it's been very interesting so far. I mean, I'd like to if you're open to it, to I mean, your experience in all of these arts, what your takeaways are. I mean, it's not to say that you're at the end of your path now, but
no, not even close. No.
I mean, what is your takeaways on your path so far that has been so... You've had so much different experiences connected to martial arts and their direct use. What as you are now, what is your perspective on all of this?
Well, let's say like that, like in Germany we say by the end of the day everybody boils with water. You know what I mean? Everybody cooks with water. Everything is the same, right? I think that people are losing too much the focus on the martial part and on more performance, which is beautiful for these kind of people. But I can just say that I use Chinese martial arts on the street. I used it when I was still a student and I was, a doorman. I used Chinese martial arts back then. I used definitely Chinese martial arts at Dog Brothers Gathering. I used them, in preparation for my MMA fights. So they got value and they should be taught in the right way, which means fighting. And I would love to see people, for example, this famous, let's say it like tiger position where one hand goes down and the other hand goes up. You know, the guy standing there, one hand goes down, and one claw is going
like
up,
the famous Hungar Gungbu with the
the famous Hungar. Yeah, beautiful. Okay. Yeah, okay. So, can you do that against a punch? No. It was never meant to be against a punch. If you, for example, see a guy drawing his knife or drawing his sword or dao back in the days, and you want to prevent the draw, one hand will go down, right? And you will push the hand down. And the other hand will shut down the computer. The fastest way to do that is obviously where the computer is, which is the head. Yeah. So suddenly we have a different meaning for this specific technique. If we keep in mind, like we said now a couple of times, that back in the days people were carrying weapons, people were cunning, people were, having hidden weapons and all this. Suddenly Chinese martial arts become alive again.
Yeah.
And you can, I take a lot of that in my personal approach with the blade, because I couldn't care less if you want to draw your pocket knife or you want to draw your Dao or Jian, whatever.
It's the same.
Because it's the same. So suddenly Chinese martial arts give you a solution for a modern problem. Because if you want to draw your gun, which you're wearing inside your waist, you will do that movement. You will,
Same.
like draw it out, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same. So I would just wish that people see that and have the for me personally, the correct approach to Chinese martial arts.
Well, that's very good. I mean, I think you've said it very well. And also it's not just the correct approach, it's the correct understanding, so you can extract the correct value out of it, And it's
Yes.
a mentality thing too. It's a very funny thing. My teacher told me a story once. I can't recall who or when this story took place, but it was when there were some foreigners in the early days in China, and there was a guy. I don't know which European country he was from, and it was in Beijing. He had a background in boxing. He was an experienced boxer.
Yeah.
And he had seen and heard of a Chinese martial arts master who was training in an area close to him, and the guy was training every day. And so the European guy asked through a translator to help to tell this Chinese man that he'd like to have a match with him, And people don't, again, people take this the wrong way. The European guy's intention was a match. He didn't mean it in a bad way. He wanted a match, He's a boxer, and he wanted to try out this other guy's skill in boxing. He didn't mean he wants to kill the guy and denigrate. This is more common than people think it was. I mean, it really, it's not a malicious intent thing. He wanted to have a match with a guy.
No.
Right.
No.
Okay, so...
Yeah.
Now, what he didn't understand was the differing understanding of the mentality of the people. So,
Yes.
the Chinese martial
Exactly.
artist
You want to play?
was told, this guy wants to do a challenge match with you. And so, he agreed.
We know the ending.
Yeah, he agreed.
Yeah.
He agreed, and they arranged a day and a time. And it was like 5 days later, and the agreed upon time. And what happens? They arrive at their place, and the Chinese master, the Westerner arrives with his boxing gloves, and the Chinese master arrives with his sword, a broadsword, a real sword, and he's like, I'm ready for the match. And the Westerner doesn't understand. He's looking at like the Chinese guy like he's crazy. He's like, what the fuck have you brought a sword for to kill me with?
Yeah.
And the Chinese guy is looking at the Westerner like he's crazy. He's like, you challenged me and you brought gloves? So it's a different...
Are you an idiot?
Yeah, it's a different understanding of the functionality of these arts, that specifically the Chinese martial arts. So, for the Chinese guy, it was very simple. He's bringing his best weapon to defend his life. And he also doesn't care what you're going to bring. And that's how it was.
Exactly.
Whether you're armed or unarmed, it doesn't matter. So, Yes.
And that's the thing, like I think that a lot of these perspective which is existing in people's head is built through these, wuxia xiaoshuo and those movies and all that. People always have this knight mentality, of honor and all that. No. I'm just going, I'm just going to kill you. I'm just going to break you because, that's how it was back in. It's a martial art.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the thing. That's the other thing. My direct Bagua family had people that were involved in guarding the train stations here in Beijing. Like and there are stories, and they were considered heroes, by the way, of them catching people that had stolen things, okay? And how did they catch
Yeah.
them? By taking out a metal whip. Like, I don't know how many, I don't know which particular, a metal whip, and cracking his skull open.
Yeah.
The other guy was not
Yeah.
armed, but he was a criminal. But the point,
Yeah, who cares?
exactly, that's
Right.
exactly the mentality of these arts. These arts were like that, you know? It's not like, what weapon do you have? Oh,
But
you don't have a
people
weapon.
lost
Yeah,
it.
let me put my weapon away and we fight with bare hands. It's like, if you don't have a weapon,
No.
this is going to be really easy for
It's
me.
your fault.
Yeah, it's really easy for me. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah.
And this is why I think it's so sad when people say Chinese martial arts don't work. Yes, they work for sure, but bring it to the correct environment, if I can call it like that. You know, put it in the right perspective. It works beautifully. But was it meant to put your boxing gloves on and box against a boxer? No,
Yeah.
definitely not. Why should I do that? Like you said, you know, I just take my metal whip and I crack his skull open. Why should I put boxing gloves on? Makes no sense. You know? But people are in this bubble and they think it's like that. So I mean, you know, for sure the boxer is superior on his battlefield because he's a boxer. Why should I do that? But maybe I can just break your legs.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be, you know, a weapon. I can choose my own weapons and you know, like do it how I want to do it, right? It doesn't have to be a fair, if you know what I'm trying to say, fair fight, right?
Right.
But people think, okay, I don't know, Mantis, so I put my gloves on and my friend is doing Thai boxing. Let's have a sparring match. What do you think what will happen?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Makes no sense. So I wish that people would, you know, like wake up a little bit, you know, and work on that perspective, you know.
Yeah. Well, like you said, there's value to them. You have to firstly be taught correctly and understand how it works.
Yes.
And then find the value, its
Definitely.
true value in the correct context and environment. So, yeah.
Always.
A fish is no good at climbing a tree, but put him in water and he swims very well. So, yeah.
Fact.
Yeah. Well, it's been very interesting talking to you. It's a very interesting background you have, and I'm glad we got a chance to do this. So, if there's any last things you want to say? If not, you know, then we'll put in your what is the best way for people to contact you if they want to get in contact with you?
I think nowadays the best way to contact me is, you know, like if you just check out, you know, like my knife method is called bladecraft method.
Okay.
And you can find me on Instagram, you know, so.
All right. Well, we'll put links anyway that you want, specific links. I'll put them in the show notes, and anybody who wants to get in contact with you or follow you, or maybe some people even in your area that are looking to come and learn with you, then they'll be able to be in contact with you. So, yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you very much. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, thank you, brother. You know, thank you so much for having me, you know.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. You keep safe there, and I'm sure we'll be in touch soon.
Cool. Take care. Bye.